HarperCollins presents Why We're Getting Poorer, a realist's guide to the economy and how we can fix it. Written and read by Cahal Moran. Introduction. A good time to study economics. The course of my adult life has been defined by economic crisis. The 2007-09 global financial crisis hit just as I first began studying economics at high school. My economics tutor at the time commented that the recession was horrible, but the silver lining was that it was a good time to study economics. Unfortunately for everyone, the subsequent decade and a half has proved to be a very good time to study economics. That recession was the largest in 70 years at the time, and saw massive spikes in unemployment, declines in living standards, and the shutting down of countless businesses, including my stepfather's. Many people across the globe found their access to basic necessities like food threatened. But even those difficult events would seem mild compared to what was to come. The end of history? Since the 1990s, the prevailing mentality has been one of the end of history. The Cold War had ended, and with it, Western, capitalist, liberal democratic countries had triumphed over communism. It was believed that this template would be the aspiration, at least, for all countries, and hoped that it would be their eventual destination. Throughout the 1990s and 2000s, the UK and others seemed to be doing well with a third way, capitalist, but with a safety net to protect against the system's harsh edges. Growing up in the 2000s, I was always aware that things weren't perfect, but believed we could work it out gradually rather than throwing it all out and starting again. In some cases, countries escaping poverty would just be a matter of time as growth took hold and they joined the ranks of the wealthy nations. A rising tide lifts all boats. However, the crisis had exposed deep-seated problems with the economy that were temporarily hidden by an unsustainable boom. Throughout the 2000s, banks in the USA and the UK had lent mortgages to people who could not pay them back, inflating a bubble in house prices in the process. While this alone may well have led to recession and hardship, it was magnified by the complex web of financial instruments across the world that banks had created based on these mortgages. In simple terms, these were effectively bets on the repayment capacity of homeowners, often gambled on many such mortgages at once. When the bubble burst, the ripples were felt throughout the financial system, as this web of obligations proved impossible to make sense of, and large financial institutions felt the rug pulled out from under them. Famously, Lehman Brothers was allowed to go bankrupt early on in the crisis, which proved so catastrophic that the only feasible option was funneling public money into the banks to keep them afloat. Following the financial crisis, many governments across the Western world pursued austerity policies, hoping to balance the government budget. This was a case of misdiagnosis and misdirection. The crisis had led to the collapse of tax revenues and rise in unemployment benefits that accompanies any recession, which explained the budget imbalance. In the UK, a solid recovery was on the way and borrowing was actually falling before the cuts to spending began in 2010. Besides, austerity did not even achieve its stated aim of balancing the budget. It was promised that we'd be in the black by 2015, but as that year rolled around, we were still borrowing 4.4% of GDP. In 2010, the Chancellor George Osborne urged us to fix the roof while the sun was shining, but his cuts to schools resulted not only in stunted growth among school children, but also led to the collapse of an actual roof in a school in Kent. The effects of austerity are still being felt, as the UK seems to be stuck in a doom loop, where poor economic performance means there is less money to go around, which in turn means more cuts to public services. The Eurozone
Sample complete. Ready to continue?